No skips. There we go.
Do you want the paper?
Aiden, we don't have time for that. No calculus. No one understands what that means.
Yeah, and I'm in the class. I agree, Ms. Taylor.
Hey, a limited time, scarcity, scarce resources.
Limited.
I get
That's
it.
not
It's
what
good.
limit means, though.
Alright, it's done. Yeah, no, none of us know what this is.
I don't know what that is either.
I
It
don't-
doesn't even give a number. It gives you 4 different integrals.
Okay, I wouldn't know how to solve this.
Okay, let's talk about aggregate supply and demand, the Phillips curve, and long-run adjustments without policy.
Long-run adjustments without policy?
Without policy.
That's like.
I
wages
cannot
is a
lie.
natural
Let
fixer.
Tristan, Aiden, and sign.
What?
Wages is a natural fixer.
Yes, wage is not a natural fixer. Okay, so welcome people on the internet and here in person. Let's be talking about aggregate supply and demand first.
She's running too fast.
All right, so the ASAD graph shows us how many things are being produced at all possible price levels and how many things are being bought at all possible price levels. So aggregate supply is all production, aggregate demand is all spending and buying of everything. So remember what's on the y-axis of aggregate supply and demand?
Price level.
Thank you.
I'm still cleaning my report.
Okay, x-axis
GDP.
or
Output.
There's another one.
Why?
Y. Okay, so GDP, total output, Y, either they're going to have you graph on the test, they're probably going to have you label it Y. But they could, like when they show a graph, it could be any of those. So aggregate demand is sloped downwards, short run aggregate supply is sloped upwards. And let's just draw this in equilibrium. Can anyone tell me the 3 reasons that aggregate demand is downward sloping? Why is there a negative relationship between price level and GDP?
Because of opportunity cost.
Not opportunity cost. Nick, you're about to raise your hand.
Yeah. The wealth effect.
Okay, so aggregate demand is downward sloping because of 3 reasons. Downward sloping. And say it again.
The wealth effect, the interest rate effect, and the exchange rate effect.
Okay, so the wealth effect, the interest rate effect, and the exchange rate effect. The exchange rate effect can also be called the net export effect. Basically, it's saying that price level goes one way, let's say down, and GDP goes the other direction for 3 different reasons. The first reason is based on consumption. So when prices fall, people feel wealthier. It's the wealth effect. People feel wealthier even though they're not, and they buy more things, and GDP goes up. So if, like, how's that different than like a shift? I thought these were the shifters. So if C, I, G, or XN, if any of them change on their own, then it's the entire curve shift. If any of them change because prices change first, then it's just going to be like a movement going up and down the curve, like a movement like that. And that's just, I mean, the movement is downward sloping, so that's why it's downward sloping. So prices change and GDP goes the other way. So it's the wealth effect, the interest rate effect. The interest rate effect is about investment spending. When prices fall, so do interest rates because interest rate is a price. And then businesses take out more loans, buy more things, and GDP goes up. And then there was the net export effect, also called the exchange rate effect. Like when prices fall in the United States, people buy more of our goods, we'll export more, net exports goes up and GDP goes up. It's just the relationship between price level and GDP, and it's a negative one. When prices fall, there's more GDP. When prices go up, there's less GDP. But if any of those change on their own, if C, I, G, or XN change, but it's not because of prices, not because of prices, then it's a shift of aggregate demand. So those are the shifters of aggregate demand. But if it was like a prices change and then C changes, then it's not a shifter, then it's one of the effects, which is different.
So if they only change not because of prices, it's a shift.
Yes, like incomes have gone up. People make more money, so they're going to buy more at all price levels, which is why the entire curve every single price level, now we have more GDP at every prices. But if it was just like people spend more or less because of pricing changing, then it's not, then it's just like at one different price, then it's gonna be a different point. That was kind of hard to explain, but let's talk about different gaps, I guess you can say. Talking about aggregate demand shift, SRAS. Okay, let me try it again. Hey, those of you that are in the fall, spring semester,
Yes.
how was today?
Bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
That was bad.
It was bad.
How did I do on my FRQ?
The FRQ that was due today.
Wait, how did I do?
That was really bad.
I don't remember you specifically.
Oh.
Just in general, people did not do that.
I don't know if anyone actually knows the difference between GDP deflator and CPI.
I definitely know now.
I still don't know.
They're the same.
Yeah, but then why did I have two different questions asking you to find them?
Because one was going from like year 1 to year 2, the other was to the year 1.
Was the answer 10% for one of them?
I can't tell you
No.
that. People have yet to test.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay. Okay. So if aggregate demand decreases, maybe there's less consumption, there's less spending, just in general. What does that cause? What is the effect of less spending? What type of problem does it create? A recession. How would you draw a recession on an aggregate supply and demand graph if we're starting from recession? Let's say previously in the previous episode, aggregate demand shifted to the left. Now we're starting from that. So we're starting from not equilibrium, we're starting from a recession. So where would the long run be?
On the right.
Like over here?
Yes.
Yes. Because remember, the long run aggregate supply curve is just like the PPF curve. And the PPF curve shows a recession by a point inside the PPF curve. And here you are. You're a point inside of your LRAS. You're not to your full potential. Like here's your current GDP, but here's like where the GDP you could have if you're fully employed. If you have full employment, that is your potential. This is where you actually are, and that is your potential. So there's like actual GDP, while long run aggregate supply represents your potential. Just like here's your actual production.
You have potential.
And your PPF curve shows your possible production.
It's a pretty big PPF.
Which a lot of people drew on their FRQ today.
I don't think you needed that on any of them.
You didn't need that on any of them, but I saw
Okay,
about a dozen PPF curves. Money market, how about a PPF curve?
Oh.
Average supply and demand, what about PPF?
Are they going to have
I
at least
love
like a little bit of a
PPF.
curve?
It's so easy.
Yeah.
Yes, there'll be based on how well people did on their FRQ today, there'll be a hefty curve.
Yes.
Oh my God, you be quiet. Okay, so this is a recession. You start off from a recession. You are inside your PPF curve. What does that look like? What does a recession look like on the Phillips curve? So what's on the y-axis for Phillips?
It's to the right.
What is on the y-axis? Inflation. What about the x-axis?
Unemployment.
Okay. And here we have short run Phillips curve and long run Phillips curve. Okay, we're not in equilibrium, so I'm not going to put my dots right there. We're in a recession. That's what this entire page is about.
Yeah.
So in a recession, what's the problem? Inflation or unemployment?
Unemployment.
Yeah, so you put a dot. Maybe label that dot, I don't know, Z for fun?
How about W?
Nope, not W.
No, W is the one that's over there.
Something Z. Okay, so this is a recession, that's a recession, that's a recession. If we were funsies and we say like, oh, there it is right there, that's a business cycle,
I
there's
did this
another
one
recession. Yay.
What is this?
That's like what?
PC stand for?
Short run Phillips curve, long run Phillips curve.
Yes.
I asked Miss H about it. She goes, I don't know.
Nice.
Because she's only taught her for 1 year, and this part got skipped last year.
Yep.
So she doesn't know what to do.
Okay, you'll have to
Your
look.
teachers are not the
So a recession is,
gurus of all the knowledge.
there's more unemployment and there's less inflation.
Right. In a recession, prices are low, inflation is low, but unemployment's high. There's a trade-off in the short run when it comes to inflation and unemployment. Either one is high or the other one is. Kristen.
Question. What would a decrease in interest rate theoretically do to that graph?
Okay, so like, let's say we're starting from recession and our problem is like interest rates go down. Okay, so if interest rates are cheaper, what, like, is that going to affect supply or demand if like interest rates are lower?
Supply.
Demand.
Oh, I hear both.
It's demand, isn't it?
It is.
Well, great.
Because, yeah.
Another
Because,
point gone.
but hey, hold on. On that FRQ, when it was like da and labeled something, it said label the new point Z.
Yeah.
Or W.
W, yeah.
Not the new curve or
Yeah,
the new
yeah,
line. It
yeah.
says new point.
Yeah.
So it's telling you that it's a point. But
Yeah,
you're like, what about it's a line? Yeah. No.
which way did the point go? Did it go to the
Well, let's
right?
talk about a recession. And we're in a recession. The prices or interest rates are falling, so people spend more money.
Oh,
So aggregate demand shifts to the right.
that's not a recession.
It wasn't a recession.
It was,
Oh,
and now we fixed
No.
it. And like going up here.
oh yeah, I went the other way.
I know.
So why does it go that way?
Because look what happens to price level and GDP. When aggregate demand is low, like both those things are low, price is low, GDP is low. But with more spending, both of them increase because our equilibriums have now moved up on both the Y and X axis. Well, if there's more prices, there's also going to be more inflation than where we currently are. Inflation levels are going to go up.
So the inflation was caused by the shift on the aggregate supply and demand graph?
Yes.
Okay.
And look at the more GDP, which means the economy's getting better, which means
So
there's going to be less unemployment if the economy's
higher
getting better.
prices means more interest rates.
Higher, well, I just said we started from a recession, and for whatever reason, interest rates went down. And that was the scenario of how to graph it.
So when we were trying to fix the interest rates, we should
What do you mean
you-
fix?
like put them back to equilibrium.
If we wanted to put them back to equal, like they're lower, and we wanted to increase them,
Yeah,
well, we could like,
because wouldn't that reverse the problem that started it all?
yes, but here, this is a different problem than what you're thinking of. I'm just saying that there was a recession here, and we were trying to fix that.
Oh, yeah.
You're having two different like questions in your head. All right,
I
let's
don't
talk
think my
about
head works.
short run aggregate supply. Oh, frick, I forgot to say. Just kidding, not yet. Still with aggregate demand. Aggregate demand. When aggregate demand increases, let's say that there's more spending
Yeah.
or whatever, but we were currently at equilibrium. Or here. What's the flip side of a recession? What's the opposite?
Inflation.
Where's LRAS?
To the left, to the left.
What specifically type of inflation is this?
Demand push.
Demand pool inflation.
Pull.
What's the different types of inflation?
So there's demand pool inflation, which is caused by an increase, like too much aggregate demand. And then the other one is stagflation.
Cost.
And it's also called cost push inflation. And that is caused by too little aggregate supply. So here I can't show you after the shift, I gotta show you with the shift. So demand pool, that's post shift. Like aggregate demand curve was here, let's say, and then it shifted to the right. And so I'm just drawing it post shift. But I gotta show you with, let's say we're in equilibrium. First off, what are the aggregate supply shifters? Nick, stay awake. What are the aggregate supply shifters?
Input prices.
Okay, and that's one. Anybody else?
Number of sellers.
Number of sellers, input prices.
Expectations. Prices.
Yes. So 9P, number of sellers, input prices, technology, expectations, and productivity. Okay. If any of those make aggregate supply shift to the left. Maybe there's higher input prices, or maybe the technology has gone worse, or maybe the productivity has decreased, whatever. An aggregate supply shift to the left. Well, look, we have higher prices. That's inflation, but the difference between like stagflation and regular inflation, stagflation is yes, higher prices, but lower GDP. Like with demand pull inflation, we have higher GDP than we should. Here is like we have lower GDP than we should, but they both have high prices. Like prices are higher here on both. Okay. Tristan,
Buying bonds doesn't have any effect on the monetary base, does it?
I cannot answer that question. You're gonna have to get
Can I
over
Google
the
it?
What's the non-bank public?
People.
People. So if people don't change the amount of cash, are they gonna make any deposits?
What?
If people keep the amount of money that they have, does that mean they don't make deposits or they do?
Y'all just messed that up. I can't even.
I didn't get it at all.
I know. I know.
Oh, goodness.
There's like some sort of disconnect.
No, the first ever cube's hard.
The
And
first?
And the last
the
one.
First one?
No, it was not the first one that was the hard one.
The
No.
second one was the easiest one.
Yeah, I'm
It
gonna
was.
say that. Except for like one of the last two parts of it.
I drew my money market graph wrong at first.
Oh, because
Yeah,
that was
so
the one
did
where you
everybody
had to. Oh, it was
I had
like.
to scratch
Oh, we're not gonna talk about it, but yes, we all agree. All right, so let's talk about the relationship between like Phillips curve and the aggregate supply and demand graph. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna draw four graphs. The two on the left are aggregate supply and demand. The two on the right are going to be Phillips curve. So go.
Or are you saying us to draw this?
Well, I don't know. What are you doing here if you're not doing this with me?
Oh,
Well, I am for the most part. It's just like, I wasn't sure if this was like.
Well, you know, I'm not doing this for my health, Tristan. Actually,
You
that's
get
a
more
lie.
money though,
I
right?
do. And,
That's
you
why I'm
know,
here.
that does help with my health, you know, healthcare. It's expensive.
Money doesn't buy happiness, but it sure doesn't make me unhappy.
That's true, except it does buy happiness up to like, what, $75,000?
Actually, that's been disproven in a recent study.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, that was from a study by the National Academy of Sciences. But a recent study actually showed that it's not true, that money does more money above the 70,000 actually does make you happier.
Oh, well, so I could be happier is what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't make any money.
You will.
Yeah, but you're really smart, so one day you will.
Thank you.
You work hard, so that helps.
You work hard sometimes. Sometimes I procrastinate.
Yeah, but you're procrastinating and someone else is working really hard.
Oh. A lot of times I procrastinate by doing my math homework because then I feel like I'm actually doing something and I don't feel bad about not doing the other stuff. You know?
No, I don't, but okay.
But like, do you do anything just to avoid procrastinating? But it's really just
It's
procrastinating.
procrastinating.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like, I don't need to grade these papers. I need to go vacuum the bathtub. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's go do that instead.
I do that a lot, vacuum that bathtub.
That's just an example of something completely pointless, but it keeps you from doing other things.
Yeah. All right, okay, so let's see how they're related. Let's talk, I'm gonna change colors a little bit. Sammy, give me a situation that would shift aggregate demand to the left.
there's more inflation.
No, that would be the only wrong answer because whatever the y-axis is can't possibly shift the curve. Price levels, same thing as inflation. So of all the possible answers, that is literally the only wrong one. Any change of price level. You know what doesn't shift this graph? Inflation. You know what doesn't shift this graph? Price level. So price level can't do it. Nick, help around.
What's the question?
Give me an example of something that would shift aggregate demand to the left. Tristan, hand down.
Okay.
Like less consumption.
There we go.
I liked my example better.
Good for you.
What was the example, Tristan?
I was gonna say there were more imports.
Oh, that's a good one too.
So what's
I would
what's
also
the
accept
second
it like
one?
higher interest rates, more taxes, less government spending, the appreciation of the US dollar
How does more imports move it to the left?
because of net exports. It's exports minus imports, so we're subtracting a larger number, then our net will decrease. Yeah. Hey,
Do you have
Aiden,
scissors?
I did. I don't know where they went.
Is that a box cutter in there?
Yes, wait. Why do you need a box cutter?
Because this part sharp meant ID's falling.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna give you a pair of scissors.
Yeah, I've cut myself on box cutters a lot.
Aiden,
One time I drilled my thumbnail,
just
so
hold
I
on
just
for ID.
cut out. No,
Okay. All right, children. What does a leftward shift do to our Phillips curve? Oh, sorry,
Right.
a leftward shift of aggregate demand
Right.
due to our Phillips curve.
Right,
Right, move
movement to the,
up here.
yeah, along the.
Unemployment increases and.
Okay, so a leftward shift of aggregate demand creates a downwards movement on the Phillips curve. So this is a decrease of aggregate demand. That's what it does to that point right there. If aggregate demand increased, I'm going to use green to represent increase, because of traffic lights. Aggregate demand increases. What does that do to our Phillips curve?
Oh, it was
It's a movement to the left.
Yeah, so it's just going to be the opposite direction because aggregate demand shifts create movements on the Phillips curve. So here we have upwards movement. You could say upwards movement. You could say leftwards movement. They're both correct. So this is a decrease. Sorry, frick.
language.
Stupid. I'm dumb. An increase of aggregate demand. Okay, so that is how aggregate demand and the Phillips curve are related. A shift of aggregate demand creates a movement on the Phillips curve. Of course, you have to know your shifts of aggregate demand. And here they are, CIGXN. Anything that changes them, directly or indirectly. All right, let's talk about aggregate supply. Why don't you give me an example of something that would decrease aggregate supply?
I feel like you're calling on me very rude.
Still switching.
You're in eco right now.
That's true, actually.
Yeah, I know. I'm still switching into my brain. We could say the change, decrease aggregate supply,
Yes,
uh,
so going left.
decrease number of sellers.
Yes, fewer sellers, fewer supply, aggregate supply goes to, I want to change to red because you're going left. A decrease in aggregate supply, short run aggregate supply too. Look, we have higher prices, lower GDP. What is this called again? We just talked about this. A leftward shift of aggregate supply is called two names. Stagflation
or cost
or cost push.
inflation.
So we have higher prices and the economy sucks. So we have higher inflation and the economy sucks. So we're going to have more of both of these things. Because remember, inflation is bad and unemployment is bad. So a rightward shift of this graph is bad of both. So less aggregate supply, more Phillips curve. So it shifts in the opposite direction.
so where is your equilibrium point on that one?
Technically, we're not in equilibrium. I guess you could say here, but that doesn't really show that there's more unemployment. So you can be like over here or somewhere,
Oh, okay, I see.
just in that general area.
Yeah, because that way it's further out and further up.
Yes, I'll give you a hint. You see an AP FRQ question
Mhm.
that just has, it's like, draw a short run Phillips curve, labeling it, short run Phillips curve. And they don't tell you to draw a long run Phillips curve. I bet you that Phillips curve is going to shift.
Gotcha.
But usually if they say draw LRPC and SRPC, it's going to be a movement. And you show that movement in a relationship to that line. But the shift, if they don't tell you to draw a long run Phillips curve, it's a shift to the short run.
Are we going over the FRQs that we did in class?
Next week.
Oh,
Can I see the FRQs?
You already did. Wait, what semester are you in?
Last semester, I was like,
I feel like you guys already did it.
I
I've
was
been
thinking,
taking AP Gov.
because isn't that bad? We get the same stuff that y'all got.
I've already gotten credit.
Oh
He
my
uses
gosh,
the
calm
same
down.
reviews, the same videos that y'all watched.
Hey, Aiden, give me an aggregate supply shift to the
Oh,
right.
okay.
There's going to be new technology that makes more pizzas.
Yes, love it. Aggregate supply shift to the right. We have a higher GDP and we have lower prices, which is fantastic.
So that means the interest rates have gone down.
Okay, don't use, like, you're creating a problem to your answer.
Yeah, I got a lot of problems.
No, but like what you were doing is a classic eco student problem. It's like you get an answer, but then you make your answer into another question. And then you answer that question that you yourself made. Now it's on the paper, now it's in black and white ink. But
No,
like,
I'm just-
what if this were to happen and then this were to happen and then this were to happen? Let me tell you all about that story. It's like, no.
No, I'm just
I didn't
trying to
ask you
figure
about
out
that
how
story.
Interest rates change.
If price level changes, interest rates are going to change with it.
So in the same direction.
Yes, but interest rates do not change the price level in
Yeah.
the same way. So all prices include interest rates.
Yeah,
And so when all prices change, so do interest rates.
okay.
But just because interest rates change does not mean all prices are changing.
So I could use price level to indicate the change in interest rates.
But yeah,
But interest rates don't affect price level
They-
directly.
do, but not in the same way. Here's a hint, or here's an example. I say the price level has gone down. What happens to interest rates? You're going to say,
Decrease.
okay, but if I say, hey, interest rates have gone down.
Yeah.
Then what happens to aggregate demand?
It's gonna go to the right.
And what happens to price level?
That increased.
Increase.
So they're going different?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Okay,
But I just was trying to figure out what price level does to interest rates.
same.
Because interest rates being low means more investment, which
Right.
means it goes to the right,
Right,
which means that price level has gone up.
right.
So interest rates and price level are not related, but price level is related to interest rates.
Well, sure. I mean, not really, but yes.
But if interest rates are low,
They're both related
I
to each
feel like
other.
we're just saying the same.
What you're doing is you're creating the business cycle, and you could just keep going on and on and on and on and on and
so
on and on.
if they're low, that means that there's less
Interest rates or price level?
interest rates.
Yes, interest rates are low.
So that means there's less demand for our currency because
Yeah.
nobody wants to invest, right?
Yep.
So that makes our exports go down, right? Is foreign investment in like savings accounts, does that count as exports?
No,
Okay.
it would
Okay, how would it affect the GDP?
happening. No one's saving money in our bank,
Uh-huh.
so our currency depreciates.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, but then they can buy more stuff from us.
Right.
So there's more exports.
Yes,
But we don't get imports. I mean, we don't import as much because we don't have like. our
But that's
currency now.
Yeah,
because that would
we
raise our
can-
GDP.
Okay.
Sure, we can't buy like Hondas, but we
Uh-huh.
don't want people to buy Hondas. We want people to buy Ford.
So if a currency is low, does it mean the country
Every month
is
this
low
truck
too?
one.
No. In fact, the lower a currency is, okay, we're talking about currency later this week. A lower a currency value is, the more people buy that country's stuff. Like the Chinese yuan is extremely, extremely cheap. Oh, that's because we buy, and that's why we buy all their stuff there, is because their currency is valued low. Just because a currency is low in value does not mean they're poor. In fact, it should mean they're rich because their stuff is cheap and everyone buys their stuff.
Almost like everything is made in China. I have phone cases from China.
Good for you. Okay. Look at this. We got aggregate demand creates a movement. Aggregate supply creates a shift, but in the opposite direction. We good?
Yes.
Okay. So if you know your aggregate demand shifters and your aggregate supply shifters, then you also know the things that shift and move the Phillips curve. So all of this, which changes in C, I, G, and XN. That's a comma. All of this, which changes in number of sellers, input prices, technology, expectations, and productivity. Night P.
Oh yeah, night P.
Are we gonna get a equation sheet on the?
No.
Number
What's
of
P?
sellers,
Nor do you get a
input price,
calculator.
Technology, expectations, and
What's the P?
Productivity.
Productivity. I knew
productivity.
that.
Yes.
I didn't
Yeah, you
think
do
about
not get an equation sheet and you do not get a calculator.
Yeah, that's not good.
You don't need a calculator.
No, but I'm going that. Forget the KS. I think it's
Whatever
one of
You
the
MPS.
write your
KS.
equations in the calculator.
You don't get either of those things. Okay.
I'm going to write them in invisible ink on my hands, because then they won't be able to see them.
Uh-huh. And I'm gonna need to bring a mirror and some lemon juice and some heat or
Yes.
something.
I'll just-
So like,
I'm just gonna add in my forehead real quick.
Oh,
Just like
God,
rub
God.
it like you're thinking really hard.
Hey Tristan, I cannot lie.
No policy shifts aggregate supply.
Yes,
Oh,
let's talk
yeah.
about long-run adjustments without policy. I'm talking about no fiscal. So
Wages.
no fiscal. So you know what a wrong answer would be? A change in taxes or tax brackets or welfare or government
Miss
spending.
Hayward.
And no monetary. You know what a wrong answer would be? Interest rates. No, none of that. None of that. Because those are all policy. So no fiscal, no monetary. So they like the College Board might say without government intervention. They might say that. Or they might say without act. It's not the same thing as automatic. So without policy, ooh, hello. Without policy is not the same thing as automatic policy.
Automatic policy is tax bracket.
Yes, automatic policy is still changing of taxes and or government spending and or interest rates, but without action from the policymakers. But they're not the same thing as no policy. I'm talking about none of that. So automatic policy still says the word policy. I'm talking about no government intervention at all. So I cannot lie. No policy.
Shifts aggregate supply.
Shifts aggregate supply. Meaning that the act of having policy shifts aggregate demand. Fiscal policy shifts aggregate demand. Monetary policy shifts aggregate demand. Whether they do that policy on purpose or by accident, still shifts aggregate demand. But no policy shifts aggregate supply, and not a single one.
So everything affects aggregate demand.
Policy, yes. But if it says like no government intervention, long run adjustments, natural adjustments, that's another one. Natural adjusting, that's an L. Then we're all talking about the same thing. Long run adjustments without policy, natural adjustments without policy, or without government intervention, all the same thing.
So wages.
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 If you say wages, that guarantees you get the point. Like, that's how you tie it in.
So in doubt, it's not Pixie, it's right wages.
Well,
When
Does
in doubt,
not
Pixie
sounds like a smart strategy.
I don't know what you're saying.
about wages.
Wages. All right, so in a recession, price level falls. And you could be like, oh, when the interest rates change, that's monetary policy. Okay. You could say like tax or like, oh, people spend less in taxes. No, that's still fiscal policy. But in recessions, prices fall of everything, including like input prices.
Wages.
Wages. That's an input to literally everything. So you're like, you could pick any resource. You could say lumber or oil or whatever prices those things fall, but wages is like your guaranteed like correct answer just because that is an input. That's the price of labor. And that labor is in the production of everything. So input prices fall, which is wage, which is the price of labor, which means you can supply more. Supply increases because it's cheaper to produce in a recession. So here I'll show you what it looks like on both aggregate supply and demand and on the Phillips curve. What problem are we starting from though?
Lower wages.
Yeah, but like what gap?
Recession.
Recession.
Okay, how do you draw that?
LRAS on the right
Okay.
of the thing, the equilibrium point.
Those of you that did your FRQ today, did you know that the question started at the top of the page where it says we're in a recession?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did realize
Yeah, you
that.
know how many people didn't? They're all like, oh, that little
No,
word
I
on the top.
definitely did get that. Like, I definitely got that into my.
Yeah. A lot of people were like, I'm going to start reading where I want to start reading, not where the question begins. Questions don't like determine me. Like, okay, all right. Graduation isn't for everybody. All right.
To produce what? Cheaper to
Just, it's cheaper to produce. Just, it's cheaper to produce everything because wages, you have to pay your workers less. So the money I save on labor, I can buy more resources or more labor.
So aggregate supply increases.
Right, so aggregate supply is gonna increase how far? Let's look at the top title. Long run adjustments. How far are we shifting?
To the long run aggregate.
Yes,
supply.
if you have a scenario, and this happens a lot, if you have a scenario that says what happens in the long run, by definition, you have to be in the long run. You cannot be in a recession anymore. You cannot be in a period of inflation. In the long run, we will have full employment and stable prices. That's the definition of long run. So if it says like, in the long run, what happens? You have to be, I've seen this in, okay, don't write this down. I've seen like questions that look like this. Where it's like a point here, and it's like A, B, C,
D.
and like D is over here. And it's like, like, where are we gonna be in the long run? There's only one answer that's on the long run. It has to be that one. Like, it doesn't matter what else is happening. If the answer is like, what happens in the long run, and it gives you like a graph, it's the one that's in the long run.
So it gives you the answer.
Sometimes there's two things that are in the long run, so you have to determine between those two.
Okay.
But
it's one of the.
it's giving you the answer basically, yes. Okay. So yeah, we shifted to the long run. Aggregate supply increases to the long run. Boop, 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 boop.
Boop, 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 boop.
Thank you, love it. And if aggregate supply just increased and shifted right, what happens to Phillips curve?
It shifts to the left.
Shifts to the left, opposite direction.
Yes.
Love it. SRPC too.
And your point would be,
Oh wait, did I get signed in?
no, you didn't. Or she told me to write your name down, but I was like, no, that's his problem.
That would be fraud.
Tried.
Exactly.
Nobody needs, if nobody knows, it's not fraud.
Ooh, Texas gained 2 House seats. It's exciting.
Hooray.
I got you.
Thank you, Isabella.
Fraud.
A
Hey!
good friend will commit
Okay, oh,
fraud.
so the
I
point.
tried. I told him to write.
Thank
your name.
you.
Okay. I don't worry about the point. Because like I said earlier,
Yeah.
if you're having to draw it,
Yeah.
and they're asking you to draw aggregate supply shifting and therefore the Phillips curve shifting, they're not gonna have you draw a long run Phillips curve because they don't want people to be confused about where they put the dot.
Okay.
So it's not a killer.
Okay.
Yeah. You okay over there?
Yeah.
You're blinking funny.
Oh, I was just like trying to take it all in.
Okay, I cannot lie.
No policy shifts aggregate supply.
Yay! So let's do inflation.
Wait, what?
I made it up for the spring. I think I told you guys this in the fall, and I was like, no policy shifts aggregate supply, no policy.
No policy.
Yes.
shift. Okay.
Yes, but then like my fifth period was like, make it rhyme, otherwise we're not gonna like remember. And I was like, okay, I got it. And
Isn't
then
that mnemonics?
it is a mnemonic device. Look at you, thriving in psychology.
Doesn't pneumatic mean that it's powered by air?
Oh God.
Apparently not.
So inflation.
Like pneumonia. It's the pneumothoracic
No,
region.
Hey Isabella, what does inflationary gap look like on aggregate supply and demand graph?
The aggregate demand is shifting.
We're starting from a period of inflation. So here's our current equilibrium. Where are we in relationship to our long run aggregate supply curve?
To the right. To the
So
left.
we are to the right or the LRS is to the right?
LRAS is to the left.
Okay, so we're to the right of it.
Yes.
Yes, because here's where we actually are, but it's past where we should be because you're right. That is at a period of inflation. Good job. Tristan,
Oh, what? Yes. Sorry.
I
What?
can't write.
Sorry.
What does inflation look like on a Phillips curve?
It's a point closer to the inflation side than the LRPC.
Wow, it's almost as if it's obvious that inflation's going to be next to the word inflation.
That's like a really nice color blue.
Thanks.
I don't like it.
All right, in inflation, you'll never guess what happens to prices.
They go up.
Yeah,
No,
what the
they
prices of
always
everything?
Dude. Oh, so
Everything.
what
Yes.
happened here?
Everything, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
What happened here?
What happened where?
Or are we just drawing like an inflationary gap?
Yeah, and like wages go up in inflation.
Yeah. Oh, and if price level is more expensive,
Aggregate supply shifts. to the
aggregate supply
Right.
shifts left.
If I have to pay my workers more, I either can't hire as many or that leaves me less money for other resources. Either way,
Which is input price, by the way.
it is input price. And our shifters, it's the I, input price. You guys are
But there's
so
less-
awesome.
There's less unemployment, so
Whoa,
there's
that's
more
loud.
people working.
Yes. Which is why
Really loud.
yes.
Which
But if we
causes
just
more
go
people.
up, you let go of more people, so more people are out.
Yes, which is exactly what's gonna happen once I shift the curve. Like right now, prices are high and everyone's employed, but as soon as wages are higher and I have to pay more, I can't supply as much. I'm gonna have to lay off those people like you just said. And aggregate supply goes down, right? Sammy?
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're like, what do we fire all those people?
So unemployment should be high.
This is where we're starting from. This is what happens because of it. And yes, unemployment will be high because short run Phillips curve is gonna shift to the right because aggregate supply is going left. You're right. Wouldn't that make people be unemployed if they gotta pay more people? Yes, and there's the more unemployment because Phillips curve is going right, aggregate supply is going to the left. Nick?
Doesn't that also raise inflation?
Yes?
Stagflation.
Actually, yes. So maybe not the best solution to not have no policy. So you're saying that the way to get rid of inflation is there's more inflation? Yeah, but look, we're back at equilibrium. You're welcome. Aren't you glad I didn't help at all?
What?
I said, aren't you glad I didn't help at all? Kristen, you okay there? You're reading something else.
The internet says that the purchase of bonds does increase the monetary base.
That's why buying bonds is expansionary policy because it puts more money in circulation.
That's
another
one I got
I think that's what I said.
I would hope so.
That would make sense.
Yep.
Shut up, Aiden.
Because they didn't buy, oh, I shouldn't talk about this.
No, you shouldn't.
I wasn't
Okay.
talking about. I was just talking about like in general when the government buys bonds. That's just what happens.
Again.
Yeah, unfortunately.
All right, y'all ready to do some multiple choice questions?
Yes.
Tristan, you want to go grab some boards for everybody?
Multiple choice questions.
Yay!
Frisbee it, Tristan.
No,
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 that would
no,
kill
no.
someone.
Thank you, Tristan.
Catch it in your teeth.
Hey! I'm not a cat.
Are you sure?
You spray me, I hit you with the board.
Wait,
I feel like it's escalated.
Yeah, I got him here.
Did y'all see the Josh fight?
Oh my goodness.
Tristan, can you get everybody markers?
Yes. Wait.
Thanks, Tris.
Oh, these.
what Josh?
Does anybody else need a marker?
Good job.
Tristan, maybe you get some of these, what's it called?
What?
Eraser.
Yeah,
Oh,
or I was gonna say Kleenex, but yeah, the erasers will work fine. Oh geez, oh god, oh god. I'm falling apart here. Okay, we're cutting off tutoring today at 4, by the way. Just cause we are.
You don't want to spend more time with us?
I love you guys, but, oh my gosh.
Yes.
Carpooling scenario, so, all right, here we go. Let's look at, I got 16 questions for you guys. So, I'll read the questions for you guys and then you can put your things on the, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit closer so you guys can see on the internet. It says, how does the automatic adjustment mechanism move the economy to, ooh, is this? Okay. It does say automatic adjustment when it's usually, okay. I hate College Board. All right, so how does the automatic adjustment mechanism move the economy towards potential real GDP in the long run when current real GDP is above potential real GDP? So you have to kind of know what type of gap we're in. Our current GDP is above potential. How do long run adjustments work?
giant GDP.
Yeah, drawing a little graph, just a little sketch of a graph, could help you visualize it in your head.
Oh yeah, I had to do that.
Yes.
Oh, Lola put in the answers up, okay.
That's fine. If they don't have to. They're just getting excited.
I just do.
Wait, do you not want us to put the answer?
Stop.
It's fine. It's just people then feel like, there's a, like, you can hold it. You can just hold it like I can.
Oh no, Miss Bruff conditioned us to always have to be the first ones done.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, well, that was a while ago.
Yeah,
I
Okay.
Miss Bruff 2 years in a row. It was great.
2
So,
years ago.
your current GDP is above your potential. What type of gap is that?
Inflationary
Right.
gap.
You have an inflationary gap. Even if you don't know the first part of the, like, what happens to wages, I mean, you should, because it's a period of inflation. Let's say you don't, like, aggregate supply has to shift to close the gap. So if you had drawn it and you would have like done a quick aggregate supply shift to the right, you're like, did that close the gap? No. So it's gotta go left. And yes, you guys said E, nominal wages rise, shifting the short run aggregate supply curve to the left, which is correct.
Wait, so no policy shifts supply?
Yes, I cannot lie. Is
No
all.
policy shifts
I
aggregate
cannot
supply.
lie. No policy shifts aggregate
So
supply.
only wages shift.
Not only wages shift aggregate supply, lots of things shift, like night P
Technology.
shifts aggregate
that's
supply.
what I
But when it
Numbers,
comes to like
sellers,
what exactly,
This
which
one.
variable is changing, when the government does nothing, it's input prices, wage being an example of that. You could technically just say like input prices change, but if you
Wait,
really
what was
want to
it?
guarantee that point, say wages.
What does the P stand for again? That was like the third time.
Productivity.
Productivity.
Productivity, okay, I'm just, okay.
This is fiscal policy.
No, no, no policy, no policy,
Oh, but like,
no policy.
it's the opposite of fiscal.
No, the opposite of fiscal is monetary. Okay, so the demand curve assumes that,
Apparently I'm taking senior pictures now.
When? Domestic price, consumer substitute domestic goods as the price of the goods. Nominal wages.
Yeah, this is one of those questions where I'm like, I don't know.
Oh,
any of
wait,
it.
shh. The price of, I can't hear myself think.
The one that goes down.
Oh, I think I know what this is.
I don't like.
bless you.
Thank you. Jeez, that hurt.
Oh, we got two different answers here.
Oh no, B would make sense.
Aiden, I'm trying
Demand
to.
doesn't touch.
Yeah, you guys are.
wages, does-
Wait, I am not.
Okay, the thing is, okay, so I don't like the answer that I think it is.
Okay, and it's not about whether you like it or not.
I'm just gonna put it like this, so that way you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. Like, is this right? Is this?
I just want to see what everybody else
I
got.
don't want to see
Can I show you?
Stick with that one.
Okay, where she crossed out my answer.
I crossed out both of the ones that everyone put, so I don't know. Oh.
Controversy.
You don't know what I put.
Ah, okay,
Yeah, see, I knew it wasn't B and C.
Aren't you smart?
Didn't get
Okay.
B, though.
does it have an explanation? No, it does not. If I pick B, does it say why? No?
Okay, but B is technically accurate because it shows that as price level increases, GDP
Yeah, but I feel like
decreases.
it's too specific to be that.
It doesn't show that people will go to foreign goods, though.
But it shows that GDP
Yeah,
decreases.
But it doesn't, okay.
Okay, so like those three effects, the wealth effect, the interest rate effect, and the exchange rate effect, the one that's most similar to is, the wealth effect because it's D.
Okay,
like-
what is wealth effect?
As prices go up, GDP falls because people are like less wealthy, they buy less things, they feel less wealthy.
What's this? Why is C wrong?
That all prices and total consumer incomes are constant. I don't even know how that would be right. All prices and total, that the prices equal your income.
Am I on the wrong
Do
side?
prices equal the money that you make?
Yeah.
No?
No, we're not equal, but it's proportional to it. Like higher prices, you make more income.
Just because prices are going up doesn't necessarily mean your income is going up.
Wait. Changes. I'm just trying to figure out in my.
I would say maybe B is a better answer for currency. The currency graph
Yeah.
is probably a better representation of what B is talking about.
Interesting.
Yes.
Or the blue mark?
Okay, here we have one of these like table-y things. If a change in aggregate demand results in a recession, the price level and real output would change in which of the following ways in the short run? So basically,
Wait, is it say-
Short run automatic adjusters?
Wait, what was the
no,
question?
short run just means we could be in a gap.
Wait, did you say
Like we could, like a recession by definition is short run.
Did it say
Inflation by definition is short run. Hold on for a second.
sorry.
If you're in the long run, you're intersecting on long run equilibrium. If you're not, everything else is short run.
Wait, can I see the question? Sorry.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Price level.
A change in aggregate demand.
So that's saying like as aggregate demand turns into a recession.
Yes, what's happening?
What does E say?
Is there an E? Because I
There
think
is an
it's
E.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I mean, you pretty much assumed it's not the other board.
I was scared.
That's a 3.
T3.
You're T3.
Okay,
T3.
everyone did a really good job here. I'm going to switch up yes, you all got it right. I'm going to switch up the question really quickly. What if the same problem, exact same problem,
It's gonna be one of the answer choices.
okay, forget the answer choices because this is not the same question. Or like if I change up the question, the answer choices are not necessarily going to be there. But what would happen to price level and GDP, real output, in the long run?
It would
So-
go, oh, sorry.
In the short run, aggregate demand falls and both fall, yes? In the long run, can you stay there?
No.
No. In the long run, if we're in a recession, what happens to SRAS? Which direction? If we're starting from a recession? To the right. So aggregate supply shifts. Okay, so now are we in the long run?
Yeah.
What happened to prices?
They decrease.
For sure, because they decreased for both shifts that we just did.
But GDP goes up.
The GDP goes back to equilibrium, goes back to long run. So that's where this answer is
Oh.
possible. The no change, well, because if we shifted, like aggregate demand shifted and GDP fell. But then when aggregate supply increased, it has to increase to the long run.
So that has to stay there.
It had to stay there. Well, long run aggregate supply, we're not gonna, I mean, it does shift, but it only shifts because of like PBF and like long run economic growth. But okay, which of the following is true about the Phillips curve?
C.
You didn't even answer. You didn't even read it. Just let you know.
I got it. I got the answer.
See, Miss Taylor, I remember these now because I missed them all on the first time I ever did them.
I remember when you got like a 60 or something on a quiz.
Which is one is true.
So that means you have to get one right, though, right?
Yeah, I got one right.
Accidentally.
Yeah.
Like,
I did it right accidentally.
What is a supply?
I don't know.
shift. A supply shock is a shift. Usually, like so, negative supply shock, left shift of supply.
Okay.
Yeah, negative means left. Supply, obviously supply, and then shock is shift.
Wait, so that shifts SRPC or that shifts short run aggregate supply?
Where are you looking at?
The supply shock.
Supply shock just means aggregate supply.
Okay.
Okay, we got answers.
Oh, I said A.
What?
There's no way it's not.
Yay!
Hey.
Yeah, of course it's A. Okay, does long run Phillips curve shift?
No.
No, never. That,
Never.
unless they redefine the natural rate of unemployment. Because what is the natural rate of unemployment?
46%.
All right,
So
46%.
that line is thick.
That it's a thick line with 2 C's. Okay,
But what if we buy bonds?
still doesn't change
Oh.
long run Phillips curve.
Okay, so real quick, shifting aggregate demand, it causes movement in the same direction.
Don't think of it as direction. I mean, okay, points go up and down, right?
Yeah.
Aggregate demand and all curves go left and right.
Yeah.
Okay, so if aggregate demand goes right, point moves up because there's more aggregate demand, so it's going to go up. Aggregate demand goes left, there's a recession, it's a movement down because aggregate demand is falling.
But then if short run aggregate supply shifts right, long run Phillips curve shifts left.
Long run stays the
I
same.
mean, short run.
Short run goes the opposite direction, yeah. Okay, here's a new question. Here we have, according to the graph above, which of the following is true about the long run equilibrium of the economy depicted? Can you see? Okay, so I'm saying what's going to happen in the long run to this graph?
So in this type of problem, can any of the three lines move or just the short run lines?
Okay, all three can change, yes, but only two of them usually change that we talk about on the graph.
T on 3. 1, 2. T.
Whoa.
Can I have a red marker?
I don't know. Do we have any?
I don't think so.
Okay, there you go. That answers your question.
Answer, but I'm assuming it's right.
It says as
Wait, is
wages
the
increase,
T
the short
red
run
or the
aggregate
3 red?
supply curve will shift to
The
the
T
left.
is very interesting.
Are you sure?
Okay, all I see
Yeah.
is as wages increase, the short run aggregate equilibrium.
So it's A, yeah? That's an equilibrium? Just kidding. It's not an equilibrium.
Oh,
That's an
I was
inflationary gap. It is E. You guys did a good job.
That's what I said.
I was like, wait,
I didn't agree.
Hey, here we go.
Marker.
Assume that the economy is in full employment equilibrium in the diagram above. It is. Which of the following would lead to stagflation?
Oh, I like that.
Stagflation.
The worst of the inflations.
Is it?
It's a
Yes.
general increase in prices without an increase in money.
No.
I always forget stagflation.
Good.
What's stagflation?
Ugh.
Stagflation is increase in inflation and unemployment.
Yes.
That's the only thing I.
So that's the
Get the.
Oh my gosh, it's taking so long.
I already have my
If there's
answer.
more unemployment, how can you go in inflation if people are like without jobs?
Higher input prices usually. Like we had stagflation in the 70s when like we had an oil crisis. And so like the price of production rose like drastically and people couldn't keep those many people on. I can't afford to pay you because I got to pay like $1 billion for a barrel of oil. Lay off and things cost more because that barrel of oil then filters down to all prices. Yeah, it's gonna be A.
It says T on 3.
Yeah, electric shift aggregate supply is called stagflation. That is just a vocabulary question. All right, here we go. Which of the following would cause a movement along a country's short-run Phillips curve towards higher unemployment and lower inflation? You could sketch it out if you wanted to. Higher unemployment, lower inflation, and it's asking what's going to cause that.
yeah. We'll go with this.
Decrease in savings with increased consumption, right? Is that what that is?
You can only save or spend.
What?
You can only save or spend. You can either save or consume. Those are the only options.
So
Without
it's decrease in
MPA.
savings causes increase in
Convert.
consumption.
I'm assuming yes.
Marginal propensity for aggregate demand.
Okay, yeah.
Oh God, if I yawn one more time, I'm gonna die.
I'm sticking with that.
Okay, can you explain why?
Yes,
Why? Why is it B?
because a movement along the
Is that what I wrote?
Yeah, it is. Thanks for interrupting, Kristen.
A movement along the short-run Phillips curve is due to a shift in aggregate demand, which it has the net exports as a shifter of aggregate demand, and an issue with the major trading partners would likely decrease exports.
Yes, because we're looking for something that's going to shift aggregate demand to the left. We're looking for something that's going to decrease consumption or investment spending or government spending or net exports. A decrease in savings means that people are spending more That would be a rightward shift of aggregate demand. We're looking for a leftward shift. A reduction of energy prices, that's short-run aggregate supply. That would create a shift, not a movement. Same thing here. This technology, that's aggregate supply. That would be a shift, not a movement. And going from the recovery to expansion phase, that sounds like more spending. And we're looking for something that has less spending, which is why it is B.
So in a recession, you export more than you import?
No. This is
Because it's saying a foreign country.
a foreign country has a recession. They are poor. Poor people don't buy our stuff.
So they
So our net exports will go down because we're going to be exporting less from them, or they're going to be exporting less from us. So our exports are going to fall because they are poor.
But if we have low inflation, wouldn't they want to buy?
Why would we have low inflation?
Because shift of unemployment is.
Oh, no, that's the effect of this.
Yeah, it's saying what this would cause this.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all do that. Y'all make answers, and then make the answers into questions, and then answer those questions.
So,
Y'all do that.
and it also means that they have a lower price level, so we can buy more of their stuff.
Yeah, so not only are they buying less of our exports, we're buying more of their imports.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Economics makes sense. Hey, Tristan.
How many questions are on the multiple choice tomorrow?
Well, I'm going to give you the entire test. You can do as much of it as you'd like. You just got to finish it tomorrow. Sorry, the next day.
Oh, okay, I was about to say that.
So you get 60 questions,
Oh.
and you can decide to like split it up in half, or you can be like, let me do as much as I can today, or whatever you want.
Wouldn't it be advantageous to just do as much as you can on one day and then just have time to check over?
True. Some people like to switch answers afterwards because they think about it too long,
True.
and then they overthink it, and then they switch answers to wrong answers. I would go with your gut. Okay, did you already answer this, Nick?
I'm between C and E.
It says a rightward shift of aggregate supply will occur when?
Which shifts are, no.
Night P, number of sellers,
See,
input prices,
shift.
technology,
Yeah,
expectations, and
that's what I'm saying.
productivity.
Yeah, it'd be-
I put E, but now I think they're wrong.
Wait, I'm stupid.
Did you put D?
I put D.
I put D.
Don't be so hard
on
Sorry,
yourself.
I didn't.
That would cause us to move to the
I
left.
don't know why I
silly.
thought the
C and E.
increase in input prices would increase. That's why.
No,
Shift.
no.
Yeah, I was like, they're both increased input prices.
Yeah,
Take a long-
yeah, people are like, they both say increase. Yeah, but increase of the prices of imports.
No, I was being even less smart. I was between C and E, not C and D.
I
Oh,
think go the opposite way.
oh, no. Yeah, we're looking for a rightward shift. We're looking for more supply. We're looking for more resources or cheaper resources or more technology, more sellers, something like that.
We like technology.
What's D?
Which of the following statements best describes the impact of a decrease in Japanese income on aggregate demand in the United States? We were just talking about something very similar to that.
Ah, I got it.
Tristan?
Yes. Sorry, I'll switch back to my pen.
No, stop. Okay, good job, everyone.
Yeah.
B. Okay, so as if they are poorer and their incomes have decreased in Japan, they can't afford to buy our stuff, so we will export less. And of course, the exporting of less to them means our currency will eventually depreciate, but that's like the second effect. The first effect is they buy less of our stuff. Number 10. Which of the following will remain unchanged with the price level decreases? Be bold, let's go.
I'm not bold. I don't know any of this.
Oh.
Oh,
Think about slope.
wait. Yeah, no. Yeah, no,
If
Yeah.
I'm thinking about slope, then I'm wrong.
no. Oh,
It's a vertical line. Price level does not have any effect on long-run aggregate supply because that's what the line illustrates, the relationship. The relationship is no relation. Like, what's the slope?
Undefined.
Yeah, or zero, right?
No,
Or zero is
It's
horizontal.
undefined, yeah.
It's undefined.
Yeah, we're all in calculus.
Calm down. Calm
Barely,
down.
barely.
With,
Yeah, what's this then? Yeah,
is
okay, that's
that
what
the
I
one
thought.
you asked us
Yeah,
about class, Aiden?
What?
Is that the one you asked about class?
Yes.
Never mind.
He's not paying attention, but yes, it is.
I'm
Okay.
just here so you get more money.
Which of the following would indicate that economic growth has occurred? If anyone gets this wrong, I'm gonna murder them in their sleep.
D.
it's A, guys.
Yes, it's totally D.
The business part.
That boy thick.
Wait.
Nick,
I'm
See,
stupid, I'm
Oh,
stupid.
the thing about Nick is I know where he lives.
you did it unironically too.
And so I am going to
I know
murder
where
him
you live.
at whatever address he is at. And yes,
I
yes.
could take you
I
there.
forgot it was long-run economic growth. I just saw economic.
Okay, economic growth means long run. You can't have economic growth in the short run.
I know, but I saw that and I was like, oh, GDP.
No, no,
That's what
no,
I
no,
was
no.
the same name, don't worry, I almost did.
Okay, I want to show you a question. A different question. Hold on.
I was
Ooh,
too
I was
distracted by the stupid.
You already know this question. You took this quiz the other day.
Which quiz is it?
I don't
failed it.
I didn't take it.
I did fail one of those quizzes.
Can I take the
too.
FRQs they took today?
Yeah, I wanna see what
There's
it
like a
was.
whole packet of them.
I want to take.
Don't ask.
They're still upset about that. Okay, can we look at number 3 really quickly? Oh God, hold on. Scroll.
Wow.
Okay, number 3.
That's so hard to do.
An increase in which of the following would most likely promote long-run economic growth? We just talked about what long-run economic growth was.
Oh, I did get this one wrong.
Oh, I remember that one.
Okay,
It's E.
it's what?
It's not E.
So it says, oh, I can't write on this, but
Definitely not.
I thought it was real one and out.
it says a increase. So you draw little up arrows next to each one of these.
Interest rates causes more capital.
If they're low interest
Lower
rates,
interest
but it literally says
Facts.
an increase
Awkward.
in which of the following? Meaning up arrow here, up arrow here, up arrow here, up arrow here, up arrow here. So higher interest rates leads to longer economic growth?
Oh no, lower interest.
Which graph is longer economic growth?
The
Yeah.
PPP.
Investment.
Yeah.
LRAS, which is the same thing as?
PPF.
Also PPF, so it's about consumption.
Oh, that's
Hit
right.
yourself in the face with the board.
So it's just, this actually does.
No, no,
This is the same answer.
no. You got it wrong twice after we went over it.
Is it investment tax credit?
Yep.
What
It
is
is.
that?
What is that?
Because
They pay less
investing gets you
taxes.
less taxes. So
Okay.
you
It's an input. It's an input
I'm
price.
supposed to know that's what that means.
Yeah, I have no idea what.
I
Okay.
see interest rates and
What's
I know
a credit?
that does growth.
Like a gift receipt.
Whoa.
Okay,
Or like.
you get a credit towards taxes if you invest. Sometimes reading backwards helps.
Oh.
If,
So
okay,
if you get less, you're more likely to invest.
think
I will
English
give you a
is-
credit toward your
Bars.
taxes if you invest. If you buy a pizza oven, you get a tax credit.
Like a tax cut.
Yeah.
Increases.
And so, fine, sure, I'll buy more pizza ovens.
So why does consumption spending not?
Because consumption spending shifts aggregate demand, which is not the same thing as a PPF curve. Buying things does not grow the economy in the long run. Making things does. Buying pizza does jack. Make pizza. That's how you grow the economy. Do not buy, make.
Wait, but isn't it making pizza ovens not pizza?
You buy the pizza ovens to make the pizza.
Well, no, but just making more pizza would increase short-run aggregate supply.
And you keep doing that for a long time, you'll never.
Oh, we learned you. Yes, you did.
Yes,
You did. You did.
I know.
Yeah.
I thought
Okay.
China made a story like that. Where she like.
Okay, so if you see a long run economic growth or economic growth, you think PPF curve, you think production, you do not think GDP. You think GDP, you get less than a 3. You see it with this?
Oh, I like
Okay,
that.
thanks. All right. Which of the following is most likely to be caused by an adverse supply shock? Okay, throwing a couple of words at you. Let's see if you can, you know what
What's that
What
word?
does
Does that mean
adverse?
it's
what does adverse mean?
Bad.
The opposite of inverse.
What?
Nope.
No, it's that.
No.
It's that.
left,
It's
right,
that.
left,
It's that.
Adverse is bad.
It's going that way.
Okay, so
It's like it's
supply would have to
adverse.
shift which direction for it to be bad?
left.
Left.
So that shifts L on. So the only one would be.
Wait, Tristan, what did you put?
D. I mean, I didn't put D. I put just any answer.
What is the,
Prices.
ah,
Oh my god,
What
am
is
I getting it right?
what is the name for?
Wouldn't it also be?
Wouldn't it, if it goes to the left, it creates a recession?
If aggregate demand goes to the left, it creates a recession. When aggregate supply goes to the left, it creates either stagflation or cost push inflation.
Could you say this could cause cyclical
That's what I
unemployment?
meant. I
Because
knew it was.
I
knew it was
know,
stagflation.
because
I just
cyclical,
didn't know what the other
oh,
word was.
cyclical unemployment usually goes to the recession. It's not a recession, it's a stagflation, which is different.
Cost push.
Demand pull would be if demand shifted
To the right.
to the right, and then demand would pull it.
Oh, because no, I knew it was stagflation. I just didn't know what cost push. What
Cost push is a lesser shift aggregate supply.
And so that's stagflation.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Let me
Synonym,
write
they're
that in
synonyms.
my notes.
Okay, 13. The short-run Phillips curve implies that there's a trade-off between.
Oh my god, no
Oh,
way.
this is a hard one.
Like the Phillips curve getting flatter.
Am I wrong?
Nick, you think you're funny. You think you're funny. You're a comedian.
I wish I knew you
I
did
see.
not ask if you're wrong.
Okay, because she looked at me, but she was looking.
No,
at
I was looking through you. I was glaring at Nick.
Oh, I put B.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. Funny guy. Yeah, inflation and unemployment is literally the axis.
Monetary policies. Okay.
All right, 14. Following a decrease in aggregate demand, an increase of unemployment will result if.
Decrease, so that would be, and that would cause.
Oh, that's awkward. Oh.
Are slow to reach a Oh. Okay, just kidding, that was a joke. Oh, well.
Wait, a decrease in aggregate demand would cause a price decrease. That's not right.
I think it's.
Yes.
I'm writing it.
Is that an H?
Yeah, it's an H.
Also,
Wrong. Is that wrong?
I haven't really read it yet. Hold on.
Wait, no.
wait, don't get it yet. I'm
still.
still thinking.
I think I was.
No, shh.
I'm pretty sure I'm right.
What did you put?
I'm just kidding, just kidding.
Yeah, we're all confident until we gotta say what our answer is.
I think
I
got it
showed
right.
mine, but I'm not confident.
I
See?
think I've gotten it right before, and then I think not.
Oh, I got it. It's this
Because
one.
I thought, because
Okay, wait, if Tristan's right, then I'm right.
if you look at the Phillips.
I'm confident in this.
Oh,
I'm confident in this.
Kind of an H.
Tristan's answer.
Yeah, it's an H.
Like
No,
two
that
H's.
is definitely wrong.
How's it wrong?
It's not.
Because prices would decrease.
Yeah.
If real wages
Can we see?
They're
then it would
increasing.
adjust.
I feel like.
It's C.
I'm stupid, yes.
Yay.
Why is it
Why is it E?
E? Yes.
Hold on.
And why
Okay.
isn't it D?
Following a decrease in aggregate demand, an increase in unemployment will result if prices and nominal wages are slow to
Oh,
adjust.
it said if. I thought it said in.
If. Okay, so unemployment will go up.
Absolutely.
Why would you get laid off in a recession?
Because they don't.
They're not
It's
missing
like
any.
prices are too
If you
high.
get paid the same, they don't have enough money to pay you. So if prices and everything adjust with it, it's like, oh, your wage will fall along with all of our like money that we're making. So I pay you less, but I can still keep you on. But if your wages are slow to adjust, like you're still paid your salary that you were being paid, and now like businesses are making less money,
You have to be laid off.
I'm gonna have to lay you off. And so if prices are slow to adjust, then yeah, you're gonna be unemployed. But if I could just adjust your wage like that and pay you less as I make less money, then I don't have to like fire you. I can just pay you less. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not D?
Why not D? Because the short run aggregate supply increases, GDP goes up, and unemployment will then fall, not increase.
Oh, I think I was thinking of the wrong.
That's like automatic.
Wouldn't it
adjustment.
cause the short run Phillips curve to shift to the left?
No, because the aggregate demand shift, this creates a movement.
No, I mean a short run aggregate supply increase.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Oh, okay. All right. Ooh, look at this fun thing. It says, according to the graph above, which of the following statements about the economy is true? Okay, so look at the graph. Look at that cute little graph.
Okay, I see it.
Okay.
Sticky means they're not likely to change.
Yes, that they're slow to adjust. Yeah.
Yeah, it's this
No, economy is in a recession. It's this one. I hadn't read all the answer choices, but it's this one.
Thanks, Kristen.
I was telling Miss Taylor.
Thanks, Tristan.
You're welcome.
You're right, it is. Yeah, C can't adjust because C is saying it is sticky. So if it's sticky, it's not gonna shift.
Yeah.
Because that's what you had before, right? You had C.
Well, it's because I hadn't
Why
read
is-
D and
why is
D
C
yet.
wrong?
Why is D wrong? Because if we're in a recession, decreasing spending is gonna just make it worse.
You want to spend more, yeah.
Yeah, you wanna spend more. And if it said requiring an increase in spending, sure, yes. But decrease in spending will just make that recession that much worse. All right, last question, and I timed it well, yay. Which of the following is true about the Phillips?
Whoa.
God,
Not prepared for that.
no. Which is true about the Phillips curve?
No, it's A.
I almost picked
Oh
A
my
because you just said that it
I was
was.
about to check and make sure you weren't right.
I had the answer. I
Is this right?
Because it looked bad.
Uh-huh.
I don't think I can sink any lower in my seat.
Yeah, let's see.
Tristan Sinclair, I can't see.
Okay.
The bottom of that
Thanks for
there.
your attendance today. I appreciate all the hard work. Don't forget, there's also lots of other resources. Shout out to Mr. Clifford on YouTube, who does amazing video lectures. Khan Academy, don't forget Khan Academy is free.
Ooh, Khan Academy is great.
If it's not Brian
The
Passwater, I don't want
Academy
it.
app.
I don't know who that is. And don't forget, we also have things on like AP Classroom. AP Classroom has like video lectures
Oh, they're
that you
so,
can go
like,
watch.
Not a fan of
Not
AP
good.
Classroom.
They're not great, but it's something just to have maybe in the background.
I
If
watched
it's
them
not
for
Brian
physics.
Passwater, I don't want it.
I watched it to physics because there's nothing good for physics. Like